The internet is losing its mind right now. Like, this might be the biggest timeline explosion since the whole OTF versus everybody era. Because out of nowhere, at like 1:42 a.m. when everyone was supposed to be asleep, Asian Doll posted something she definitely wasn't supposed to post. And it wasn't a quote. It wasn't a subliminal. It wasn't a selfie with a messy caption. No, it was DMs, actual screenshots, blurred out names, timestamps cropped. But the internet recognized the energy immediately. And within seconds, people were saying the same thing. Yo, this looks like India. Now listen, nothing's confirmed. Nobody verified anything. But that didn't matter, because the messages said something that shook the whole Von Durk fanbase to its core. The DM said, I told him what I knew. He didn't want to believe it. Bro. Reddit froze. Twitter broke. TikTok started stitching the screenshots with dramatic music like they were exposing the CIA. People started saying things like, India Ben knew the truth. Von wasn't blind, he was loyal. This why Asian acts the way she acts. And the craziest part? Asian deleted the post 5 minutes later. 5. But by then, screenshots were everywhere. Bloggers grabbed it, fan pages grabbed it, even low-tier gossip accounts were posting alleged DMs like they had CNN-level sources. And the biggest question buzzing across the entire internet right now, what exactly did India tell Von, and why did Asian pick today to leak it? Because whatever this is, it's not just old tea, it feels like something that was never supposed to come up again. And what happened next is even messier. The craziest part about this whole situation is that it didn't start with a fight or a diss or a messy live. It didn't even start with Asian Doll. It started with a vibe, a feeling people been having ever since Von passed. That there were things unsaid, things hinted at, things whispered about that never quite made it to the surface. The timeline has always been sensitive anytime Von, Durk, and India get mentioned in the same sentence. That triangle isn't even a triangle. It's like a whole emotional universe TikTok refuses to let die. So when Asian dropped those accidental DMs, the internet didn't see it as a random late night moment. They saw it as a continuation of something that never actually got closure. A door that should have stayed shut, suddenly cracked open. And that's why starts not with the messages themselves, but with the energy that made everyone ready to believe anything the moment a screenshot pops up. For months, people been saying Asian's been moving weird. Sometimes she's emotional, sometimes she's distant, sometimes she's hyper defensive. Anytime the topic of Von comes up, even indirectly, her mood shifts. She'll tweet something cryptic, delete it, post something sad, then go outside the next day laughing. Fans notice everything. They screenshot everything. They turn everything into meaning, even when it's probably just life. But this time, the internet swears she wasn't being emotional. She was being intentional. It all started earlier in the day when Asian posted a random picture of Von on her story with no caption. Nothing dramatic, just his face, a black heart emoji, and silence. That alone made fans comment things like, she feeling something today? Why is she posting him now? Something must have reminded her. You know how the internet is. They map astrology, moon cycles, dates, anniversaries, anything to try to understand a person's whole emotional cycle. Then someone noticed that India had also posted earlier that day, but something soft, something peaceful, like a candle or a quote. And whenever those two post on the same day, TikTok thinks it's a divine sign. People were already stitching old videos of India and Von talking at a meet and greet, clips of Von joking around India and interviews, whatever scraps the internet had left from that era. But then the real spark came from a fan page. Somebody posted an old clip of Von laughing on IG Live. Someone in the comments said, India tried to warn him, and that one comment got over 10,000 likes for no reason. People started arguing about it, bringing up old rumors like they were fresh again, like the timeline had been waiting for the chance to talk about this without feeling messy. So let's be clear, the internet was already on edge, already connecting dots, already emotional. All it needed was one little push, and that push came in the form of Asian Doll's now infamous blurred DM screenshot. She posted it so fast people didn't even believe it was real at first. The background was black, the text bubbles were cropped weird, but the style, the layout, the tone, it looked real enough that nobody questioned it. The message said, I told him what I knew, he didn't want to believe it. And below it, Asian's reply, that's why everything happened how it did, no names. no timestamps, no receipts of who said what. But the internet didn't need names. They filled in the blanks immediately. People started tweeting, "That's India for sure." Only one person could have said that to her. This tea years old and still hot. It spread like wildfire. Screenshots jumped platforms in seconds. One of the biggest fan-run Durk accounts posted it with the caption, "If this is real, the whole story looking different." Another page posted, "This the DM y'all been waiting for." And then Asia deleted it. She didn't explain it, didn't say hacked, didn't say oops, just deleted it like it never existed. But by then, it was too late. The screenshots were saved, archived, reposted, zoomed in, brightened, sharpened, refiltered, slowed down into TikTok slideshows. Bro, they turned the screenshot into a museum piece. The deletion made it worse. People said she didn't mean to post it. She posted it on accident. She mad at someone tonight. She off emotion. She trying to tell us something without telling us. The internet loves an accidental leak. It feels authentic. It feels messy. It feels raw. But here's where things escalate. Not because of the screenshot itself, but because of the history behind it. See, Vaughn always had a special kind of chemistry with India, and the fans always noticed it. They weren't romantically involved. It was never that. It was something else. Something like respect. Something like he trusted her opinion. That dynamic created tension for years between fan bases. People would bring up old clips of Vaughn saying India cool peoples, and TikTok would act like it was a prophecy. They'd bring up Durk laughing in interviews saying, "India, tell me everything." They'd piece these unrelated moments together and treat them like puzzle pieces. And Asian has always been the emotional center of anything involving Vaughn's legacy. Fans treat her like she's the heart, while India is the anchor and Durk is the storm. And anytime these three names cross paths, the internet turns into referees, historians, and gossip columnists all at once. So when that DM dropped, the timeline didn't react like it was new information. They reacted like it was confirmation of something they'd always suspected. People were tweeting things like, "India Ben knew what was going on. She tried to tell him. Vaughn didn't want to hear it. Asian holding on to secrets for years." And the wildest part? Nobody even knows what the truth is supposed to be. The message was vague, no actual details. It could have been about anything, but the vagueness is what made it explode. The lack of clarity made it universal. Everybody could project their own theory onto it. Some people said it was about loyalty. Others said it was about the people Vaughn kept around. Others said it was about street situations. Others said it was personal life stuff. Everyone had a different angle, a different version, a different theory, but they all believed the same core idea. India knew something, and Vaughn didn't want to hear it. What made it even more explosive is the fact that India didn't react. Not with shade, not with a post, not with a like, nothing. Total silence. And India's silence is louder than most people's shouting. She's known for not entertaining drama, but when she stays quiet during a storm, fans read into that like scripture. Asian, after deleting the screenshot, also went silent. She didn't post a follow-up, didn't explain it, and that only made people think she said more than she intended. The silence made the DM feel 10 times heavier, like both of them knew the internet wasn't ready for the full story. The comments all started sounding the same. This some old tea resurfacing. Vaughn knew more than people think. India was trying to protect him. Durk ain't gonna like this one. Why she leak it now? Because that's the biggest unanswered question. Why now? Years later. Random night, random moment, out of nowhere. People started theorizing it wasn't random at all. Some said Asian saw something online that triggered her. Some said she bumped into someone. Some said she got emotional thinking about Vaughn. Others said she was tired of holding things in. And the scariest theory, some people said she posted it because she felt the truth was never going to come out unless she released it. Whatever the reason, that one screenshot cracked open an entire era of drama fans thought was buried. And the next part is where the internet starts picking sides and the mess multiplies. The moment the DM started spreading, the timeline split into 3 completely different universes. And that's when the real chaos exploded, because nobody agreed on what the message meant, but everybody felt like it confirmed something they'd been thinking quietly for years. The energy didn't just shift, a hit snapped. On one side, You had people saying Asian exposed something she'd been holding back. Not in a malicious way, not in a messy gossip way, but emotionally. Like she saw something online that reopened a wound and she slipped. A lot of fans started defending her immediately. They said things like, she's grieving, y'all don't understand. She not messy, she hurting. Let her express herself. Those supporters weren't focused on the DM itself. They were focused on why she might have posted it. Then you had the people who immediately turned it into a mystery novel. They were screenshotting everything, digging up old posts, comparing timestamps, analyzing likes. It was like the DM unlocked a new season of a show they've been waiting years to continue. People started posting old tweets from 2020, 2021, 2022, piecing together fragments like they were assembling a timeline of secrets only the internet could decode. They weren't accusing anyone of anything specific. They were playing detective, treating every emoji like evidence. And then there was the third group, with the people who thought the DM wasn't about anything serious at all. Some said it might have been about friendships, petty drama, arguments from back in the day. They thought the internet was overreacting, blowing up a random message into something massive. But here's the thing, even that group kept watching the drama unfold. Even people who didn't believe the DM meant anything were still in the comments like, but I'm listening though. The whole timeline was glued to the situation. People were refreshing Asian's page, India's page, Durk's page, just waiting for someone to blink. Waiting for someone to slip, waiting for a like, a tweet, a quote, even a typo they could convert into meaning. TikTok went nuclear. Creators started making edits with dramatic music, scrolling through the DM while narrating theories in a whisper voice like they were leaking government files. Others stitched the screenshot with old clips of Vaughn saying things like, I listened to people who got my best interest, and acted like it was connected. It wasn't, but TikTok doesn't need confirmation. TikTok needs vibes. And that DM had enough vibe to power the whole app. Someone even made a video saying, this the real reason the internet been sensing tension for years. Tension between WHO. They never said. They just left it vague enough so people could project whatever story they wanted onto it. Meanwhile, on Twitter, people were arguing like they were in a courtroom. Some said India trying to protect Vaughn back then made sense. Others said Asian posting it now meant she felt guilty about never saying more. Some said Durk probably knew everything already. Some said nobody knew anything. It was entertainment, chaos, nostalgia, drama, pain, all mixed into one giant conversation. And through all of this, India stayed silent. Her silence became the biggest part of the story. Because India is never messy. She doesn't hop into drama. She doesn't throw subliminals. So when she said nothing, the internet interpreted that silence in 50 different ways. Some said she wasn't responding because she didn't want to feed the drama. Others said the silence meant the DM was old and irrelevant. Others said she didn't care. And the wildest theory, people started saying, India, too real to hop online and deny anything, then silence is her answer. Even though, again, nobody knew what they were talking about. But people felt the silence. They felt the distance. They wrote entire emotional essays based on a lack of response. But then it got even messier. A random Twitter user posted an alleged audio clip. It was muffled. You couldn't hear anything clearly. But the caption said, listen closely. She said more than y'all think. It was probably fake, probably edited, probably unrelated. But the sound of two voices talking quietly made people create their own subtitles. Some heard I warned him, others heard he didn't listen, others heard absolutely nothing but static and still claimed it was proof. This audio clip turned into its own subplot. YouTubers uploaded videos titled breaking down the audio. What the leaked clip really reveals, the truth behind the whispers. 30-minute breakdowns about a 7-second clip with no clear words. That's the power of the internet. It turns noise into narrative. Then came the edits of Vaughn and India. Old clips resurfaced, like Vaughn smiling around her at events or joking with Durk while India sat nearby. People started posting comments like, see, he respected her. India wasn't lying. She always had his best interest. It didn't matter that the clips were unrelated to the DM. The internet was creating a storyline. And once a storyline starts feeling emotionally right, nobody cares about the timeline. At the same time, others were defending Durk, saying he and Vaughn loved each other like brothers. Stop creating weird energy. And then fans of Asian jumped in saying, stop blaming her, she grieving and y'all toxic. It turned into a four-way debate where nobody agreed, but everyone had feelings. One of the biggest moments was when an old live resurfaced of Asian saying something along the lines of people knew things they didn't say. She didn't mention names, didn't specify anything, but TikTok paired that old clip with the new DM screenshot like it was a confession. People commented, this was about the DM. She been hinting. This why she posted it tonight, even though it was from years ago. People don't care about context when the story already feels good. Then someone found a tweet from India from 2019 saying, some people don't listen until it's too late. This was obviously a general quote, nothing to do with Vaughn. But the internet dragged it into the present and forced it into the storyline like a puzzle piece that doesn't actually fit but looks close enough when you squint. Creators started making compilation videos. Old India quotes plus old Vaughn moments plus new Asian DM. It turned into a whole aesthetic, a whole TikTok genre, a whole saga that people emotionally attached to. By now the DM wasn't just a DM, it became a symbol of what fans felt was happening behind the scenes but never had proof for, a symbol of the conversations fans imagined, a symbol of loyalty, warnings, truth, regret, all projected onto one blurry screenshot. And the biggest twist is that nobody actually knows what the DM was about. It could have been about anything. A friend, a situation, a warning that had nothing to do with Vaughn or Durk at all. But the internet had already chosen the characters for the story, already chosen the roles, already chosen the meaning. That's why with the entire timeline in a frenzy, interpreting silence, interpreting emojis, interpreting old clips, interpreting breaths, everyone convinced they're uncovering something, even though they're mostly uncovering their own theories, is where things get dangerous. Because fans begin demanding responses, and when people stay silent, the internet starts talking for them in the loudest, messiest way possible. By the time the DM reached every corner of the internet, the conversation wasn't even about the message anymore. It was about the silence surrounding it. Silence is dangerous on the timeline. Silence makes people build their own answers. Silence turns regular fans into investigative journalists and conspiracy theorists. And now the entire internet was demanding a response from someone, anyone involved. People camped out in Asian's comments first. They spammed her last photo with hundreds of question marks, eyeball emojis, say something, drop the rest, and we already saw it. Some were supportive, telling her to take her time. Others were messy, pushing her to spill more tea. Asian didn't respond. She didn't even turn her comments off. That somehow made people even more suspicious. She reading everything, someone said. She waiting for the right moment to say something big. Another posted. A fan page said, y'all need to let her breathe. But the comments under that post were messy too. Then attention turned to India. The one person the internet was dying to hear from, even though deep down everyone knew she wasn't going to jump into the mess. Still, that didn't stop the pressure. People flooded her story replies. They flooded her older tweets. They commented, is this true? You knew what? Why won't you clear it up? India stayed quiet, completely silent, living her life like the timeline wasn't burning down. That silence made people interpret everything she didn't do as something she was doing. When she posted a regular picture later that night, just her hand with her nails freshly done, the comments were a war zone. She ignoring y'all on purpose, someone wrote. She knows exactly what's happening. This is her way of saying she unbothered. Nah. This is a soft confirmation. People took a literal manicure photo and flipped it into coded communication like she was sending signals to the Illuminati. Anything she did, or didn't do, became part of the story. Meanwhile, Durk's name started sliding into the conversation even though he hadn't said a single word. People began checking to see if he unfollowed anybody, liked anything suspicious, or tweeted something cryptic. He didn't. He posted a snippet of a song instead. Regular behavior. And the comments immediately turned it into drama. This a response? Why he dropping music now? This sound like he addressing something. The man could have posted a picture of cereal and the timeline would have found a way to connect it to the DM. That's how heavy the energy was. The internet was starving for confirmation, for direction, for any tiny sign from the people involved. And because nobody said anything official, the fan theories grew louder, messier, and more dramatic. Then a random TikTok dropped that made the situation 10 times bigger. A creator posted a video titled "The Real Meaning Behind Asian's Leaked DM," even though they didn't actually know the real meaning. The video was 7 minutes long and full of dramatic editing, stolen clips, music, whispers, and screenshots. They played the DM slowly, sentence by sentence, like it was a secret code. Then they brought up old interviews where Vaughn talked about trusting certain people. They brought up old photos of India standing next to him. They brought up old tweets Asian made during their relationship. None of it was directly connected, but the way the TikTok was edited made it look connected. People ate it up. It hit 1 million views in a day. The comments were crazy. This explains so much. I always felt India knew something. Asian been hinting at this. Vaughn didn't want to hear the truth. Durk definitely knew too. Again, nobody had proof, but the internet loves a story that feels emotionally right, even if logically it's made of smoke. The TikTok sparked a new wave of chaos. More creators made explainers, breakdowns, theories, timelines, connections. Some were calm, some were messy, some were pure fan fiction disguised as journalism. One creator literally drew a chart connecting everyone like it was a detective board in a crime show. They circled faces, pointed arrows, wrote question marks, and made it look like a map of a scandal. The comments treated it like it was a leaked FBI file. This all put a weird spotlight on Vaughn too, even though he wasn't here to speak for himself. Old clips of him talking about women, loyalty, fake friends, and trust resurfaced. People stitched the DM over his interviews. They turned emotional moments into foreshadowing. They turned jokes into hints. They turned regular comments into signs he knew something. Fans were emotional, nostalgic, and confused all at once. They weren't accusing anyone of wrongdoing, and they were built on feeling like Vaughn deserved truth, feeling like he trusted certain people, feeling like the DM represented something deeper, feeling like certain people tried to warn him and he brushed it off, feeling like the internet had been right all along to sense tension. One person tweeted, "It feel like unfinished business is resurfacing." Another said, "Vaughn's story keeps reopening itself." Someone else said, "These three names always come back together no matter what." And while all this noise was spreading, the rumor pages took advantage. They started posting alleged insider messages, most of them clearly fake, but written just vague enough for the internet to treat them like possible truth. One page posted a message saying, "Someone from the circle told us this been known. No receipts, no names. Just vibes." But vibes were enough. At this point, the situation wasn't about whether the DM was real or fake. It wasn't about who said what. It wasn't even about Asian or India. It had evolved into a collective internet obsession where Vaughn, India, Durk, and Asian existed inside a storyline that fans created from memory, emotion, and theory. People who weren't even involved started speaking indirectly. Random influencers posted, "People only tell you things once. After that, it's your choice." Others said, "The truth always comes back." Fans started interpreting those quotes too. It became a chain reaction of misinterpretation. Every indirect post from anyone in the industry got linked back to the DM. Then, something subtle happened that sent the timeline into overdrive. A quiet friend of Vaughn's posted a black screen with the caption, "Just let things rest. No names, no drama, just that sentence." People swore it was about the DM. Some said he was telling Asian to stop. Others said he was telling the internet to calm down. Others said he was hinting that the DM was old and irrelevant. Nobody knew, but everyone believed their own version. On that exact tension, because now the internet wasn't just waiting for a response. They were demanding one. And when people don't get clarity, they make their own. By the time we reached this point, the internet wasn't just watching the situation. They were living inside it. The obsession was unreal. People were refreshing pages like they were waiting for a Drake album drop. Twitter Spaces opened up with thousands of listeners debating the DM like it was a Supreme Court ruling. TikTok lives turned into panel discussions with creators arguing over the tiniest details of a screenshot nobody even knew the origin of. Everyone kept repeating the same question in 100 different ways. Why won't India respond? Why won't Asian clear it up? Why won't anybody say something? But that silence, that perfect, untouched, unbothered silence, only made the theories grow louder. It became this giant vacuum where people inserted their own storylines because the real characters refused to speak. The energy shifted again the next night when Asian finally posted something. But it wasn't an explanation, it wasn't an apology, it wasn't confirmation, it was just a picture of her outside at night, looking dead serious, no caption, nothing, and that silence nearly broke the internet. People started reposting it saying, she's standing on what she said, she not taking it back, she know what she know. Others said, she trying to move past it, she over the drama, she clearly not bothered. Two opposing interpretations from the same picture. That's how emotionally loaded everything had become. Then people started noticing that she turned off her story replies. That tiny action fueled even more speculation. She tired of getting spammed. She protecting her peace. She hiding something. She trying not to say something she'll regret. Theories flew like bullets. Meanwhile, India continued her silent streak, posting a random smoothie, a gym selfie, a motivational quote, but nothing remotely acknowledging the DM. Yet every mundane post turned into an event. People commented things like, so she's not denying it. This a distraction? She acting like nothing happened. That's how you know it's real. But the wildest part, even people who didn't believe the DM anymore were committed to the drama. It was like the timeline agreed to treat the situation like a Netflix series, where nobody wanted spoilers, but everyone wanted more episodes. Things escalated when someone dropped an old clip of India talking about how she never entertains drama online. The clip was years old, but people stitched it saying, this why she quiet, she's staying in character, she won't play the internet's game. The clip went viral again like it was brand new. Then people started speculating about Durk. They analyzed his every move like he was the missing piece to the puzzle. He posted a basketball highlight on his story, and nothing special, and people said, he distracting himself, he ignoring the situation, this his response low-key. A basketball clip became part of the storyline because fans were desperate for any crumb. Rumor pages amplified everything. They posted captions like, sources say the DM is being misunderstood 1 hour, then closed ones say more messages exist the next hour. No sources, no proof, but tons of engagement. People fell for every vague post because they wanted this storyline to have momentum. It was entertainment disguised as truth-finding. Then a random user on TikTok posted what they claimed was the full DM, but the message didn't match the original formatting at all. Still, half the comments believed it instantly, the other half screamed fake, and the rest said they didn't care because the energy felt right. People weren't judging based on logic anymore. They were judging based on emotions. During all this, something subtle, but huge, happened. Someone close to Vaughn liked a tweet that said, sometimes the truth is simple, people just make it complicated. The timeline exploded. Nobody knew if the like was intentional, if it even meant anything, or if it was an accidental scroll tap. But the internet doesn't believe in accidents when the drama is this juicy. People started making theories like, that's his way of saying India wasn't wrong. He verifying the DM. He hinting that Vaughn was warned, even though the tweet didn't mention any names. Fans from the OTF side jumped in, saying, stop dragging this up. Let the man rest. Y'all reading too much into this. But by then, the fire was uncontrollable. Then came the biggest twist. An old clip resurfaced where Vaughn mentioned that the people closest to you always know the most. TikTok paired that clip with the DM screenshot like they discovered a lost prophecy. It hit millions of views overnight. The comments were emotional. People cried about how much Vaughn meant to them. Others said it felt like unfinished business. Some people weren't even following the drama, and they were just hurt because the clip brought up memories. And that, the emotional impact, is what made the DM saga hit harder than it ever should have. It wasn't about Asian. It wasn't about India. It wasn't even about Durk. It was about the fans wanting closure on a chapter of their lives that ended too abruptly. That's why when Asian posted a cryptic tweet the next morning, just a broken heart emoji, the timeline fell apart again. People thought she was hinting more. Others said she regretted posting the DM. Some said she was reliving old memories. Some said she was being dramatic. But the truth didn't matter. The symbolism did. India responded hours later, not with words, but with a music post. An R&B track about outgrowing situations. People lost it. This a response? She's sending a message. She letting people know she said what she said, even though it was probably just a regular song she liked. The whole situation became a cycle. Silence, interpretation, reaction, more silence, more interpretation. By the time things calmed down, the storyline had taken on a life of its own. Some fans believed the DM meant something deep, others believed it meant nothing. Some believed it was old, some believed it was fake, some believed it reopened wounds, some believed it gave closure, but everyone agreed on one thing: the internet wasn't just watching a moment, it was creating the moment. And that's why this episode ends not with answers, but with the same mystery that started it, because the DM didn't expose truth, it exposed how powerful the fandom narratives are, how emotional the connections to Vaughn still are, and how one blurry screenshot can restart an entire Legacies conversation. So after all the screenshots, the theories, the deleted posts, the silence from every direction, and the timeline turning into one giant detective agency, we're left with one simple truth: nobody really knows what that DM was about. Nobody knows when it was sent. Nobody knows who said it. Nobody knows why Asian dropped it, or why India didn't blink at the internet burning down around her. But that mystery is exactly why the whole world is talking right now, because this wasn't just tea, it was the return of an entire ERA, an era that people never fully healed from, an era filled with love, loyalty, loss, energy, legacy, and unfinished conversations. And when Asian posted that message, it reminded everybody of all of it at once. Vaughn's name still carries weight. India's presence still carries respect. Durk's shadow still looms large. Asian's emotions still hit the timeline like a tremor. And this DM didn't give closure. It reopened the story. Now the biggest question is there more? Because if one DM can shake the internet like this, imagine what the full conversation could look like. Imagine what wasn't said. Imagine what people think they know versus what was really going on behind the scenes. So now I'm throwing it to you. What do you think the DM really meant? Was it harmless, old, misunderstood, or did Asian post something that was never supposed to come back? Drop your entire theory in the comments. I read everything. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tap that bell, because in this storyline, nothing stays quiet forever. And the next leak, the next hint, the next message could drop at any moment. Stay locked in.